All right, y'all, let's get straight to it. So first things first, heat up a pan of oil to medium-high heat. It is best to use a cast iron skillet. That's what I'm using here. But if you do not have one, just use another pan that's good for frying. Or if you have a deep fryer, you can use that as well. So let me go ahead and address the elephant in the room. If you're wondering why my oil looks used, it's because it is. I don't know about y'all, but where I come from, we store and reuse oil a few times before throwing it out. So I am not using new oil fresh out the bottle today. This is the oil that I used last time I made the fried fish. So I was lazy and I didn't strain the seasonings. That might be a little too real for you, but it is what it is. Okay, so anyways, be sure to use an oil for frying. This is grapeseed oil, but sometimes I use avocado oil. Okay, so while the oil is heating up, we're going to go ahead and make our buttermilk. You're going to grab half a cup of almond milk or whatever plant-based milk you prefer to use, as long as it's unsweetened. And then we're going to add 1.5 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. Whisk that together, let it sit for 10 to 15 minutes, and that's going to give it a chance to curdle. Next, we're going to make a flax egg to use as our binder. You're going to need about 1/3 to half a cup of flax meal. If you don't have flax meal and only have whole flax seeds, just quickly pop them in your blender to grind them. Then we're going to add water until we reach the desired consistency. We do want the texture to be a little runny at first because just in case you haven't made a flax egg before, do know that we have to let it sit for 15 minutes before it turns into that thick, slimy egg texture. So you don't want to start it off too thick. If you're like, look, I don't want to, if you're the type of person where you're like, look, I need to see a visual. I need to see exactly what I'm aiming for. Go ahead and make 1 flax egg. To make 1 flax egg, you're going to take 1 tablespoon of flax meal and 2.5 tablespoons of water. Mix that together, sit it to the side for 15 minutes, and then you'll see the desired consistency that we're looking for. So right now, with this larger flax egg that we're making, I'm just going to have to eyeball the water. So I may not even get it right myself, but I do know what I'm looking for. So go ahead and start off making just 1 tablespoon of flax meal with 2.5 tablespoons of water. Sit it to the side 15 minutes if you want, and then do that. Or if you can just eyeball it off top if you want. That's just a little helpful hint in case you haven't made it before. So as you can see, it looks really runny right now. But as I said, it's better to have it be a little runny because after 15 minutes, it's going to thicken up. And I'll let you see what that looks like. So while that is sitting, we're going to go ahead and start our batter. We are going to use flour and cornmeal, but we're going to start with our flour. So take about 1 cup of all-purpose flour, and then we're going to add our seasonings to it. So I like to start with some blackening seasoning. Followed by some Cajun seasoning. And this we must have, Old Bay seasoning. If you don't have anything else, you must have this Old Bay seasoning. Followed by a little garlic powder. And a little onion powder. Next, I'm going to add a little bit of mushroom seasoning. I'm also going to add this black garlic because I've had it on hand and haven't used it before. Both of those are going to give you the umami flavor. If you don't have them, you don't have to use them. Sometimes I don't, but this time I decided to use it. Like I said, it's going to give you that umami meaty flavor. Next, we are going to add the seaweed flakes. This is what's going to give you your fish taste, so you must have these seaweed flakes. I am using nori, but you can use whatever seaweed flakes you want to use, but you must use seaweed flakes. Old Bay and seaweed is a must. Then we're going to add some dried dill weed. The dill is not required. Sometimes I use fresh dill because I just like the extra taste that it gives, but it's not required. Then we're going to add our cornmeal. So I do have this Louisiana Cajun fish fry. I really like to use this. I'm just eyeballing it. I'm using probably about half a cup, I guess, if I had to guess. The first time I made it, I actually used a little more cornmeal than I did flour. So just play with it and see what type of texture that you prefer. Then we're going to go ahead and give it a good blend. If after blending it, you feel like you need to add a little more seasoning, feel free. Feel free to add what you feel like you need to add. You will see that I will add a little more seaweed and a little more Old Bay. And the moment you have all been waiting for, our fish. This is what we're going to be using to make our fish, banana blossoms. Y'all, this is so easy. If you cannot find banana blossoms, just let me know, because I do make my vegan fried fish another way when I can't find them. And it's just as good, just as easy. But look at this. It's white. It's flaky. It looks like meat. You're going to take the can, you're going to drain it, rinse it off with cold water. 1 can makes about 2 to 3 fish fillets. That's just enough for me. So I'm going to go ahead and make my can, rinse it off. Like I said, you really want to make sure you drain the excess moisture. So squeeze it out really, 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 really good. Like I said, if you don't have banana blossoms, just let me know and I'll make another video to show you my other way of how I make it. It's just as good. It tastes exactly the same and it looks exactly the same. It just takes about 30 minutes longer to make it just because of the prepping process. But see, once you dry it out, I squeeze it out really, really good with like a nut meal bag or cheesecloth that I had, and you'll see how flaky it is. It's like flaky white meat fish. So now I'm going to go ahead and season it up with the seasonings that we used before, and we'll get the show on the road. Now I'm going to take our buttermilk that we made earlier. As you can see, it has curdled. As you can see, it looks very sour and like old milk. We're going to go ahead and pour that in a bowl big enough to fit the fish. And this is our flax egg. As you can see, it has thickened up quite a bit. It's actually a little too thick, so I'm going to add a little more water. But like I said, that's why I said when we're making it, we want to make sure we add a little more water, that it's a little more runny to begin with, because it does thicken up as it sits. So I'm going to add a little more water. And this right here is the texture. There's a little more of what I was looking for. A little thick still, but better off. So now we're going to go ahead and batter up our fish. I went ahead and put on some gloves because I do have long nails and we're going to get messy. So you're going to take your fish, whatever size you want to make, and flatten it, whatever shape you want to make. You're going to go ahead and do that. I'm just going to try to make like a fish fillet type of style. And then we're going to dump it in our buttermilk. And then we're going to dump it into our egg, our flax egg. And I'm just trying to make sure I hold it together. So, and my gloves were a little big. And then we're going to dump it into our cornmeal flour mixture. And I do want to make sure I coat that really well. So I'm going to use a spoon just because it's easier for me. And then we're going to do the double dip method. So I love extra crispy fish or extra crispy anything when I fry. I like to do the double dip method. So we're going to dump it back into the buttermilk, then back into our flax egg, and then back into our flour. Like I said, you do want to make sure that you flour the fish very well. You can pick it up and flip it if you want. I just pick it up and set it right back down on top of the flour just to make sure I get the back side. But I'm going to pick it up, make sure it's the shape that you want it to be, flour it very well, and then we're going to throw it in our hot oil. Not throw it, but sit it gently in our hot oil. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same with our other fish and put it in the oil as well. We are going to fry the fish on both sides for about 2 to 5 minutes. It just depends on how hot your oil is. But just look at it. What you're looking for is a crispy golden brown color. So like I said, we're going to cook it on both sides, fry it on both sides for about 2 to 5 minutes until we get that crispy golden brown color. And you want to make sure that you keep the fish separate. As you can see, I was trying to push it away from the other fish because they were trying to float together. You want to keep it separate as best as you can just so the heat can distribute evenly. Once you're done, this is kind of what we're looking for. A nice crispy golden brown. Look how beautiful that is, y'all. Very crispy, very delicious. And then we're going to put it on a cooling rack. So this is a little tip. I know people like to place it on paper towels because that's what we're used to. But when you do that, you take away from the crispiness of it. So if you really like crispy fish, just put it, any crispy anything that you're frying, place it on a cooling rack where the oil can drain, and do not let it sit on a paper towel. And there you have it, y'all. My super easy, super delicious, and super crispy vegan fried fish. You are going to love this. I'm going to go ahead and let you hear how crispy it is and let you see what it looks like on the inside. But bear with me because I'm holding the camera with one hand and holding the fish with the other. Look at this. You can't tell me this is not fish, y'all. It even has the details of it. Look at it. You know how fish would have like that grayish, brownish, silver looking, kind of sticky, icky going on? This is fish, y'all. Y'all can't tell me this ain't fish. Oh, look at it, y'all. So good. I'm telling y'all, even your non-vegan family and friends are going to love this. Anyways, y'all, I hope y'all enjoyed it. Until next time, y'all, peace and love.